just take note of how you're breathing in this moment. How full or shallow is your breath? So much of the time we take very shallow breaths. So I know for myself, when I notice it, I can feel that really I'm mostly breathing into the chest and that my chest is barely moving. So yogic breathing that we're going to do today is just having more of a consciousness of breathing completely. So not deep and exaggerated, but just really having this practice of full breath, because this really plays a role in our health and well-being, how we're feeling. When we're taking in these shallow breaths, we're not bringing as much oxygen into the body as we could be. So that's gonna, affect our energy levels, especially on a Monday morning. Right, when we're all feeling like, oh, it was so hard to get up out of bed this morning. So we're just going to practice this. This is another one that's easy to do kind of anywhere. You can begin either seated or lying down. And just get comfortable. So we're going to begin by trying to breathe into the abdomen. So if it's helpful, you can place your hand right on your abdomen so you can feel the breath moving in there. If you don't need that, that's fine. You can just let your hands be anywhere. So just try to breathe into just the belly without letting your ribs and your chest expand. Try to just breathe in and out of the abdomen, having that abdomen expand and contract. Still letting your shoulders relax and your face. Just focus on that movement of the belly as you breathe. All right, and then take another breath. Now we're going to try to breathe just into the ribs. So as you inhale, try to feel just the ribs expanding out. So you have to tighten up your abdominal muscles a little bit to make the breath just go into the ribs. So feel that movement of the rib cage in and out and in. It's a little stressful, I think. I'm starting to tense up my shoulders to try to do that. All right, so let's let that go. We'll take a breath. I already feel like I have more energy. All right, so we're gonna try to just breathe into the chest. So try to really feel your chest expanding, your shoulders moving. So that abdomen is still pulled in so that you're not breathing into the abdomen so much. Try to feel how your chest lifts up towards the ceiling. Alright, and then let that go. Take another breath. Okay, so now we're going to try to do all three. So sometimes we do this 3-part breath where we're filling the abdomen and then the ribs and then the chest. But here we're just going to try to feel everything expanding and contracting together. So just trying to feel that breath again without being, so it's going to be a deeper breath than normal. So if we're breathing those shallow breaths, this is going to be a fuller breath, but not so much exaggerated. I don't know if that makes any sense or not, but let's try it. All right, so again, get yourself situated. So breathing through the nose. And just try to feel that whole torso. It's expanding and contracting. So soften the abdomen. Let it expand. Feel your ribs and your chest expanding at the same time. And then as you exhale again, try to feel that whole torso. Chest, ribs, abdomen contracting inward. And just observe how that makes you feel. So as long as you're not starting to feel, so for me again, it's like when I'm so used to these shallower breaths, I can start to feel a little bit lightheaded. So this one I think is a little bit better for me because it's not so exaggerated. I don't get that super lightheaded feeling. But after several breaths, I could feel a little bit of that. For me overall, I think it's both calming and energizing. So it's relaxing my brain because I'm having to focus on the breath. So it's not I'm all my little scattered trains of thought. But then the oxygen is bringing energy into the body. So it's that interesting balance of, relaxation and energization. We'll call that a word. So you can do that really anywhere because nobody's going to really notice that you're doing it. They might notice that you're not paying attention to them if you're in a meeting or something. But in any stressful situation or when you're just not feeling like you're fully awake. So Monday morning, if you have a meeting or late in the afternoon after lunch when we're sluggish, you might want to do just that fuller breathing just to draw some oxygen in to the body. Okay, so we're going to move. So as long as you're not feeling any lightheadedness, you can practice that for extended periods of time. But you might do it for several breaths, pause, breathe normally, and go back to it. And just practice that. So like anything else, we keep trying to train ourselves to breathe better. So as we're moving through the physical practice, again, there may be some spots where we can practice that. All right, bring your arms up overhead. Give it a nice stretch up, long spine. Let your hands come down behind you. Interlace fingers together. Pull hands down towards the floor. Let your head drop forward. See if you can pull your hands up a little bit towards the ceiling. Big breath here. And let your hands come back down. We're going to inhale them back up overhead. And then we're going to do a little side bend, either holding on to your right wrist, just tipping. So for me, I can never go very far if I'm holding the wrist. And that's fine because I can get a nice deep stretch to the shoulder there, tipping to the left. Or you can let your left hand come down. That's going to support your back and may let you bend a little bit more. So it's going to change where you're feeling the pose. You may have been able to go pretty far holding the wrist. But for me, that starts to hurt my back. So we're going to come back up. Let's bring the left hand up. So again, you can begin, even if you're going to drop your hand, maybe you'll just begin by tipping a little bit sideways, holding onto that left wrist, tipping to your right. So for me, it gets a little more of a pull through that left shoulder blade to hold onto the wrist. And then I'm going to let my right hand come down and just bend a little farther. Take a breath. So especially when the body's tight, that's another reason why we're not breathing as fully, because all of our muscles are like tightened up. When we're stressed, right, where everything's constricting, we're not breathing as well. When our shoulders are tight and we're getting that rounding, we're compressing our lungs again. So just the movement's going to help us breathe better. Good. All right, let's bring hands behind us. I'm going to pull my cushion out. We're going to try to do a little back bend. So I'll spin. Just hands behind you. Let them just kind of drop into a natural position. Pull your chest forward. Push your shoulder blades back. So back bends are really helpful in helping us breathe better. If you can hold the back bend for a few breaths, it'll help to get your shoulders to not be so pushed forward all the time. All right, we're going to bring it forward. Let's straighten legs out in front of us. Just both feet out. There can be some space between your feet. Just try to be comfortable here. If it hurts your low back to round, stay higher. Keep your back flat. Try to push your belly forward, keeping your chest back a little bit. Wiggle your toes. And then we're going to come back up, head to knee pose. We'll keep, I'm just spinning in. We're going to do the right leg straight. We're going to pull this left foot in. Lengthen up the spine. This could be your spot, hands behind you, or you're going to fold forward. So same thing as we just did. If your back is okay being rounded, you can round. If that hurts, try to stay flatter. Keep your body up higher. Take a big breath. So here too, so now, especially if you're folded all the way onto the leg, you're compressing the abdomen. It starts to be a little bit harder to breathe. So this is where, again, you can really work on that full breath, paying attention to the abdomen and the ribs expanding and the chest all together. So it's going to take a little more work there if your abdomen's compressed, right? It's like you have to work a little harder to breathe. But then you can also pay attention. Let's do it with the other side. So come back up if you're not up already. We're going to take the left leg out straight. We're going to pull this right foot in. So again, find your spot. Even if you're part way, you're still compressing that abdomen a bit. So as you fold over the leg, again, just notice that it's probably a little more work to breathe. But notice how now when we're pressing down on the front of the body, how you can really feel the breath expanding the back of the body. So the back ribs start to expand here. So you can feel it. So maybe instead of feeling it so much in your chest, you feel it in your shoulder blades. And then we're going to rise back up. Nice big breath. Good. All right, let's do feet out wide. Oh, so just some nice space between the feet. Lengthen up. Oh, we need to do shoulders. So all these transitions from place to place. Just take your time and feel yourself settled in. Feel what's going on in your legs. Like right here is an awesome spot for me. I don't have to go anywhere else. I can just stay here and work on releasing some tension out of my legs. I can be perfectly happy here. But I can also fold forward, and that's going to shift a little bit where I'm feeling the pose. Pay attention to what happens as you change body positioning and how that's working for you and how you're breathing. All right, so if you're folded in, come back up. Let's do either a square pose or a reclining pigeon pose. I suppose if you wanted to do pigeon, you could do that too. Square pose, you're sitting. So I won't say this is easy to do because it's taken me a long time to be able to get into it. You're trying to stack one shin on top of the other. It's also called fire log pose. It's like you're stacking fire logs, wood. All right, so you're trying to line up your knees and your ankles. So this can be very difficult. Knee can be up near your chest. Hard to breathe when things are intense like that too. You can try pulling your foot in closer to the hip. See if that helps at all. So again, any of these variations may not be doable. We're just going to explore. Or if you can maybe pull your knees a little closer together. Sometimes that works a little better for people. We're trying to get into this outer leg and hip on the top leg primarily, but you may feel it on the bottom leg. Sometimes that'll shift for me. So if you can lean forward, you're leaning forward. If none of this is working, either shift it into your pigeon pose or come onto your back. With your feet on the floor, bring your right ankle on top of your left thigh. If this is already tight, you can just stay here, left foot on the floor. Or you're going to bring that left leg up, hold the back of the left leg with both hands. If that's a little tight and you have something to put underneath your head, I'm just going to use a yoga block here. It'll help bring your shoulders up a little bit, make it a little easier on your shoulders because your arms aren't reaching quite as far for the leg. Breathe. So see if you can feel that full breathing here. Expanding abdomen, ribs, and chest. And we're going to release this side. So if you're sitting and you're in square pose and things are a little tight, you may have to use your hands to lift that leg up and release it carefully. So if you're in that square pose, you can just kind of stretch your legs out and bounce your knees up and down, just kind of shaking out the legs a bit. If you're in reclining pigeon, let's straighten both legs out along the floor and reach arms past the head. This is another nice place to have something underneath your head to get into your neck and shoulders, just by having your head elevated a bit, arms past your head, gives you a nice gentle stretch in the shoulders and neck. All right, we're going to change sides. So if you're on the floor doing reclining pigeon, left ankle rests on top of right thigh. So if you were doing that square pose, then you're going to change which leg is on top. All right, so breathe. So again, in square pose, move that top leg around a little bit. See if you can find that reasonable spot. And then pay attention to the breath. Using that yogic complete breathing. And then we're going to release this side. So just like before, if you're on your back, just let both legs come out along the floor. You can stretch your arms past your head. If you're in square pose, release the legs. If you want to roll back onto your back for a couple breaths, you could roll back from a square pose. If you were in pigeon, which I didn't say the first time, just stretch out maybe in a down dog. All right, if you're on your back, come back up to seated. Take a breath. I'm gonna have a sip of water, and then we're gonna move on to our hands and knees. So let's round it into a cat pose from hands and knees. Wrists are lined up, knees are lined up. Head and tailbone down, belly in, abdomen's in. Spine up. That's it. And then inhale, let your spine drop down towards the floor. Drop it down between your shoulder blades. Bring your head and your chest up. Good, let's do that one more time. We're going to round into cat. Head and tailbone down, belly in, spine up. Hopefully that leaf blower outside isn't too loud. Then we're going to inhale, let the spine drop down, head and chest come up. Spin my mic a little bit. All right. We're going to take it into a low side plank. So from hands and knees, just extend your right leg out. So it'll rest on either way is going to be fine. Just take one leg, extend it straight out behind you, resting either on kind of the side of the foot or try to plant the sole of the foot down behind the other leg. So this is my right leg, I'm on my left shin. And then the right arm we're going to try to bring up. If this hurts your wrist, lower down onto that lower arm. So lower arm goes across the mat. And then usually you need to bring that back leg up. And if you're having trouble balancing, you can spin what I'm calling the bottom foot kind of behind you. So even if you're on the hand, you might be able to bring, so again, this is my right leg that's up. You might be able to bring your right leg up. And then bring that raised hand down, bring the raised leg down or the extended leg down. We're going to round it back into cat pose. Head and tailbone down. Inhale into dog. Spine drops down, head and chest come on up. Oh, that feels so good today. Breath. So when you have those little happy moments where you're getting into the right spots that aren't too intense, enjoy that. All right, we're going to come back to a flat back. Now this side, I know my hip usually is happier if I take this foot kind of out to the side here. So we'll see what happens here. So I'm going to extend my left leg and just start to open up. So again, if you need to be off the wrist on this side, drop your lower arm down. I'm going to bring my left arm up towards the ceiling. Yeah, hip is a little bit happier there. And then if you want to bring leg up, you can bring that leg up. Try to extend your spine out. Breathe. And then let your hand and your knee come down, and we're going to sit back in child's pose. We're going to go off both wrists. Child's pose, arms can be alongside your legs or extended out in front of you. If you want more head support, I feel like my head's not coming all the way down today. And you can bring your arms in. Rest your head on your arms. If your knees are close together and your torso is resting on your legs, again, you're going to feel that sensation of the breath having to work a little bit harder, the breath moving into the back ribs. So again, rather than feeling the chest expand so much, you might feel it more like your shoulder blades are expanding. So on the days when you're really having a hard day and you just need a really gentle physical practice, a gentle asana practice, just using that yogic breathing in there. A few simple poses like child's pose or reclining twist. Well, reclining twist is a little harder to breathe into. But just something that feels nice and easy for you, and using that full breathing, paying attention to the whole torso expanding and contracting. So that's going to help you bring in, again, a little bit of energy into the body without all that physical movement that you don't, maybe you're not feeling well or you're just too stressed out, that kind of thing. So we keep trying to find how do we create more balance given what we're dealing with on any given day. All right, let's bring it into down dog. I'm going to curl those toes under, push the hips back. So here too, so now we're inverted. How does your breath feel here? Doesn't feel the same in the abdomen because your abdomen's now upside down. All right, bring it on into plank. We're going to take a few breaths in plank. And then if you're going to do a vinyasa, bring your knees down or keep your legs straight if you're feeling strong today. Squeeze those arms into your ribs, bend your elbows, lower down. You want to lengthen out the back, pull your legs behind you. to lengthen out the back. And then start to press into your hands, pulling your shoulder blades back. Bring your chest forward as you lift. Nice big breath. Let's look out to the right side, pulling that right shoulder blade back. Left shoulder moves forward. And then we're going to take it to the other side. Look to your left. Left shoulder pulls back, right shoulder pulls forward. Come back to center. Push it on back into child's pose. Take a breath. Let your spine lengthen out. Sometimes I get very warm in child's pose. So in the cold weather, again, that can be a great pose just to warm yourself up, is to be in child's pose. Gonna trap the breath in there. All right, we're gonna do a lunge now. So come back up onto hands and knees or into down dog, however you like to get into your lunge. Bring your right foot forward. We're gonna shift those hips forward of the back knee. So you just want to come forward enough. Take a breath. Forward enough to stretch out that back leg. Curl your toes under. Bring that back knee up. We're going to fold over the right leg. Try to relax your neck. And then we're going to bring this right foot backwards so we can do another vinyasa. If you want to bring the back knee down, that's fine. If you can step back into a down dog, just step that foot back. Line yourself up. Make sure your wrists feel like they're lined up. Fingers spread out. Come on into plank. So again, either use your knees, especially on carpet. I think it's really hard to keep the legs up because it's so hard on the wrists. So if you're feeling like your wrists are really sinking down, you might want to drop your knees just for that reason. Pull your legs back. Come on into your back bend, chest forward, shoulder blades back. Take a breath. Push back into down dog or into child's pose. And then left foot's coming forward for the lunge. So you can step it up from down dog or from hands and knees. Left foot forward. Lengthen out that back leg. Keep breathing. And then we're going to curl back, toes under. Bring that knee up. Push your hips back. Fold the body over the front leg. Let your back lengthen out. And then we're going to step this front foot back. So again, either just step it back into down dog or drop your back knee down. If you're doing the vinyasa, line up your wrists, fingers spread wide. Come on into plank. I'm going to skip that one. All right, so if you're doing that vinyasa, you're coming into plank, either legs straight or your knees down. You're going to lower down. I just needed to get off my hands there for a minute. You're going to make your way onto your abdomen, come into your back bend. Sometimes I like to do Sphinx. Sometimes that just feels right. I'm banging into stuff back here. Chest forward, shoulder blades back. And then come on back into child's pose or downward facing dog. All right, so let's do another side plank. This time if you can do a high side plank, you can do that. Otherwise, you're just going to do a low side plank again. So from hands and knees, you're going to take your right leg out behind you. So if you're doing low, you're just going to stay on that lower leg. If you're doing a high side plank, you're going to come into down dog. You want to step your feet together. And then you're rolling onto the outer edge of that left foot, trying to stack the feet on top of one another. And then that right arm comes up. So again, watch your wrist. Mine was really digging down. My heel of my hand is really digging down into the carpet there. So pay attention to how your wrist is. That's why sometimes at home, staying a little lower is a little bit better. All right, if you're still in that pose, let your foot come down. All right, wherever you got that leg, let it come down. Let's get off the wrists for a moment. So we'll come back into a child's pose. Breath. All right, to the other side. From hands and knees, just try to extend your left leg out. If you're coming into a high side plank, down dog. Step your feet together, roll onto the outer edge of that right foot. Work on bringing up, lost it. We're gonna bring your left hand up. You might just try to stack the legs and keep both hands down. And then when you're ready, you're gonna come on down. Get off those wrists again. Take a breath. You could sit here or you could be in child's pose. And then we're gonna lunge again. Take another breath. And then we'll bring that right foot forward again, stepping it up from hands and knees or from downward facing dog. I'm going to bring that right foot forward. We're going to keep the left hand down on the floor. Try to lengthen out that back leg. And then with the right hand, it can stay on your thigh. Just try to turn your body to the right. If you can extend that arm open, it can reach out from the shoulder. If you think you can get your foot, you're going to reach back for that left foot with your right hand. So then you're working on dropping your hips a little bit more forward towards the ground, pulling that right shoulder blade back. Breathing. And then we're going to let it go. We're going to release the foot if you have it. Let your right hand come back. Push your hips back. We're going to swing this right foot back. If you're doing another vinyasa, either come into plank or maybe just begin from hands and knees. Abdomen in. The arms squeeze the rib cage. We're going to lower down with control. Find your back bend, whether you're going to stay low, maybe not use your hands this time, or if you're going to push up high. And then back into down dog or child's pose. Take a few breaths. And then we'll do the left foot forward. Stepping up again from down dog or from hands and knees. Left foot forward, coming into the lunge. We're going to stretch out that back leg. So particularly when the hips are tight, just take your time to adjust to just being in the lunge here. And then if you feel like you're ready, you're going to start to twist to your left. It could be left hand on the thigh or left hand can come up. You're trying to take that left shoulder blade backward. If you can get hold of your right foot, still going to take that left shoulder blade backward. Let your hips shift forward. Keep breathing. Ouch. Oh, that side was a killer. All right, we're going to let the foot go. Shift the hips back. Bring this left foot back. Take a breath. On those wrists again. Another breath. Let's see, where are we time-wise? All right, so let's do one standing pose. Let's do extended side angle. We're going to walk feet to our hands. Coming into that standing forward fold. Oh my God, even that's too much. Some days I love my forward folds, and some days they are not good for me. So just if you're okay there, take a breath. And then gently make your way on up. So once you're up, arms are going to reach up overhead, hands together. And exhale them on down to the heart. Take a nice breath. We're going to face the long side of the mat with our feet out wide. Hands on hips, tailbone down. Right foot turns towards the short edge of the mat. Left foot turns towards the right foot. Bend in that right knee. So feel your footing here. Do as much wiggling around as you need to feel like you're solid. Tailbone down. Feel what's going on in your knee and in your hips. Let your hips drop down. So again, we're opening up the hips here. You may need a moment just to be here and let your hips sink down. Maybe wiggle your knee around a little bit to find the right spot. And then arms come up. And then it's the same thing with your shoulders. You might need to move your shoulders around a little bit here. Look out over your right fingertips. Those shoulders sink down. Can you feel the whole torso expanding and contracting? And then, so a little harder there, right? Because we're holding the abdomen in to hold ourselves upright and to keep our arms up. It's a little bit harder to have that expansion and contraction of the abdomen there. All right, leaning sideways into extended side angle. Rest your right hand or your right lower arm on that right thigh. Right palm faces up. Left arm. Pay attention to the shoulder and what's going on in your fingers. Hand can always just stay on your hip. Breathe. Try to feel that you're lengthening out from your hips. And so how does the breath feel here? So I can feel that I'm breathing more fully than my normal breath, but it's hard to feel that sense of expansion and contraction of the whole torso in that position. All right, so come on up. If you're not already, turn your right foot in. We're going to turn the left foot out. And just find your footing. Try to get your knees and your hips comfortable. Lift your spine up. Arms come on up, shoulder blades down, wiggle them around if you need to. Feel that breath. And then we're going to lean it sideways, resting your left hand or left lower arm on that left thigh. Left palm turns up. Right arm can reach up and overhead. Lengthen out from the hips. And just observe your breath. And then we're going to come on up. Both hands on the hips. Let's turn both feet to face the long edge of the mat. We're going to fold forward. Let the head drop down. If you like, hands come to your low back, interlace fingers, pull hands away from the back. All right, we're going to let our hands come down. Walk your feet in so your heels are about hip distance apart. See if you can drop down into a squat. Mindful of your knees here. And see if you can twist open here. So rest your left arm against your left inner thigh. Stretch your right arm out to the right, turning your body to face to the right. Big breath. And then right arm comes down and pushes against the right inner thigh. Left arm comes up. We're twisting the torso to the left. And the left arm comes back, hands down. Tip it into a forward fold. Turn to face your feet towards the front of the mat. Walk your feet backward into down dog. Bring your knees down. Come on into child's pose. And then once again, we're going to take it either into pigeon or square pose or reclining pigeon. If you're coming into pigeon, you're going to bring your right knee forward. You can do this from down dog or from hands and knees. Sometimes I feel like now that my hips are not as tight as they used to be, sometimes I feel like I get into a better position if I begin from down dog. But if you're starting from hands and knees, you want to slide your shin forward, pivot your foot over to the left and your right knee to the right side. If you're going to do it from down dog, then I think it's helpful to bring the leg out behind you first, kicking that foot up into the air. Then bend the knee, pull the knee forward. Your foot comes down first, and then your shin, and then your knee. I'm going to not wrench the knee. Left leg walks back. You can push into your hands for your back bend. You might stay on the hands for a while if that's feeling good. Or you can lower on down. So again, if this is too much, roll onto your back. Right ankle on top of left thigh pulls in towards you. Reclining pigeon. Or you can try square pose. Alright, so let's ease our way out of there. Sometimes from a pigeon I just kind of flop over, like to that right side. You can just push back into down dog, stretch it out if you're on your back, just whatever feels good, right leg up into the air or stretching legs out along the floor. And then when you're ready, we'll do the other side. So if you're coming into your pigeon from down dog, you're going to bring left foot up towards the ceiling and then bend the knee, pull it forward, rest your left foot down towards the right side of the mat, shin and then knee come down, and then right leg walks back. You can do your back bend again. See if you can feel that full breathing. And then you're going to gently release from this side. So you could push back into a down dog from pigeon. Stretch out your legs. If you're on your back, it can be that left foot up towards the ceiling. Keep breathing. We're going to shift onto our backs. I don't know where my timer is today, I don't think. Alright, I have to figure out where that went. So, we're going to come onto our backs. Pull the knees in. Take a breath. Drop your knees over to your right side. Arms out at shoulder height. Nice breath. So here's another spot where you can feel that. So now we're twisting in the abdomen, so you can feel it's a little harder to breathe. It's a little more effort to breathe fully. Then come on back to center. Pull the knees in towards the chest for a moment. And then let them drop over to the opposite side. And then back to center. Pull your knees in towards your chest. And then we're going to let the legs straighten out. And Shavasana for a few minutes. Come on down. Feel your breath. So whatever feels right for you here, whether it's counting the breath, so maybe like 4 count breath, you're counting to 4 on your inhales and 4 on your exhales, trying to match that length. Or if you're enjoying this yogic breath, just watching the whole body expand and contract. Try to keep it relaxed and easy, letting yourself rest. Breathe all the way into your abdomen. Observe how you are in this moment. Move your fingers and your wrists. Wiggle your toes, move your ankles around. Turn your head from side to side. Stretch your arms past your head. Bend your knees and roll to one side. Slowly make your way up to seated. You're sitting with legs crossed. And just see if you can change which leg is on top. Bring that bottom leg up. See if that'll work for you. Resting it just on top in the easy pose, or try to bring into half lotus, bringing that foot up onto the opposite thigh. And sit up tall. So especially if you get into half lotus or lotus, it tends to make the spine be straighter, which makes it a little easier to breathe. So remember, just during the day, check out your breath, especially if you're feeling sluggish. Take those complete breaths, feeling the whole torso expanding and contracting. All right, hands at the heart. Nice deep inhale. Exhaling out. Thank you for sharing in this practice with me today. Namaste.